Oh, that's the wrong way around. Ah, there I am on YouTube and on Instagram. Hello, hello, hello. So, for those who may not know me, my name is Bea. I'm the founder of Yes Parenting. And hello, Steffi. Hi, Soul Adventurer. And I'm also an energy therapist working with emotional freedom technique, which is also known as tapping. And ever since the beginning of the coronavirus lockdown, I have been delivering tapping sessions called Tapping with Bea every weekday at 3 p.m. And what's also really interesting is that during this time, I have been really immersing myself in human design. Human design is something that I first heard about. Hi, Jonathan. Human design is something I first heard about 2 or 3 years ago. And it really, at first, it was like, oh, this is really interesting, but it just wouldn't make sense in my head at all. And I kept kind of coming back to it, and I was feeling, I think, frustrated because when I looked at my human design, and with the understanding of who I am as an autistic person, I just couldn't see the match between the two. There was such a disconnect, and I was asking people questions, human design people, and rather annoyingly, I was getting responses that essentially things like autism, ADHD are not actual things. They just simply mean you're not in alignment with your human design. And something about that felt really wrong to me. It just didn't sit right with me at all. And I don't think that was just because I'm an autistic person raising autistic kids and working with autistic people. I just felt like, no, there's a real, that would be like saying, no, red hair isn't a thing. You're just not in alignment with your human design. So I've kind of really had this backwards and forwards relationship with human design. Anyway, just in the last few weeks, I've just dropped into it, and it's suddenly making sense. And part of that is that I have been experimenting, getting curious with what it looks like for me to live in alignment with my human design. So, Soul Adventurer, you've been really into human design as well. I am also a manifesting generator. Yay! Okay, so for those of you who may not know anything about human design, that is fine. You can go ahead and ask questions in the comments, and I'll do my best to answer them. It's at my special interest at the moment anyway. But here is my human design. So I am a manifesting generator. My strategy, so you have a type, manifesting generator, a strategy. My strategy is to respond, and an authority, which really leads into how you make decisions. I am an emotional authority. I also have what's called a 3-5 profile. So I am a mentor scientist. Basically, I naturally lead. I have to kind of get my hands dirty, experimenting, working out what works. Often I work out what works by working out what doesn't work. That's exactly how Yes Parenting came about. I had to really get to the bottom of what really doesn't work as a parent, and doesn't work for you as a parent, doesn't work for your kids. But then that led me into Yes Parenting. So as a manifesting generator, I go through life constantly responding to anything and everything from my sacral center. So I either get a gut response, which is a rising yes, like a yes, I want to do it now, from my gut, or hello, Nikki, or I get a neutral gut response, or I get a falling away of energy. And what I'm learning through being curious about this and exploring it is that when I go about my day, honoring that gut response, so choosing to do the things where I get the rising yes energy, and going, okay, not now, or maybe not at all, to the things where I get this neutral or falling away of energy, I am so energized. I am so productive. I feel buoyant and this incredible vitality, and I have this real zest for life. It's been amazing. But the other part of human design is learning that based on your unique design, you will be running patterns of conditioning. And so I have various patterns of conditioning, one of which is really not wanting to let people down. Another is feeling like it's not okay for me to change my mind at the last minute. Another is about keeping my word and sticking to my commitments. So I've been playing with that and noticing what happens when I stick with something I said I'm going to do, even though my sacral response, my gut response is telling me, no, it's not right for you anymore. And when I try to do that, it offsets the rest of my day. So my experiment is continuing. And that means that I'm going to continue trusting my human design. I'm going to continue seeking to live in alignment with it. And I'm going to trust that it is safe for me to really, really respond to that sacral response within me, tune into my emotional authority, and check in with my emotions, that if my gut says it's a yes, that my emotions agree it's a yes, and make decisions according to that. And I'm going to just try it and see. So what I learned today is, having had this extraordinary day where I've just really been honoring my human design, I've been in so much flow that I realized I was running, well, it wasn't like I realized I was running late for tapping with B. I'd lost all track of time, and I suddenly was late for tapping with B, and instantly these conditioned thoughts jumped in around letting people down, not being trustworthy, not sticking to my word. And at the same time, I felt this falling away of energy. I was like, okay, something's not right here. So I came live, and I just explained to people, like, I'm going to go and eat. I'd made myself some peanut butter chocolate banana and ice cream. It was like, it was just delicious. And I really wanted to sit in the sun outside and eat it. So I came on live and I explained, this is what I'm going to do. And then I'm going to come back later and do tapping with B. And while I was sitting in the sunshine, I just thought, actually, it's no longer a yes response within me to continue doing tapping with B at 3 p.m. every day, or Monday to Friday. Some days it's a definite yes energy, but other days, like today, it's like this falling away. And I was like, okay. And it's interesting because it ties in with intuitively, I've been picking up that people aren't particularly coming with this need for kind of like emergency EFT to deal with the current lockdown situation. People are starting to share challenges that are more kind of constitutional. So challenges that are chronic, that haven't arrived just because of the coronavirus lockdown, but are lifelong challenges. And really, that's what my one-to-one sessions are for. My one-to-one sessions are where people can work with me to, transform long-standing thought patterns, emotional experiences, mental health challenges, behavioral patterns. And I was thinking, actually, what would feel really good to me? What would feel really good to me? Because I love tapping and I love sharing tapping. But I realized what would feel really good to me is for me to tap as and when I feel that inspiration to do so. So yesterday morning, I had this inspiration to respond to my friend sharing that she had this kind of trapped nerve in her neck and shoulder. And so I did a session yesterday morning about using EFT to relieve physical pain and discomfort. And it felt so good to me to do that. And I really want to show up and tap at those times when it feels really good to me to show up and tap. And so that's what I'm going to do moving forwards. I'm still going to call it Tapping with B. I'm still going to go live across Instagram, YouTube, and hopefully Facebook as much as possible to bring those tapping sessions. And if it fits with me, I will try and give you guys notice of when they're going to be. But because then the content is there anyway, afterwards, I'm just going to trust that the people who need it are going to be there at the time when it's live, and those that need it later on with the replay are going to get it on the replay. Now, this feels like a really courageous thing for me to do, and quite a vulnerable thing, because it flies in the face of a lot of kind of general kind of business advice, which is you need to be consistent and you need to be predictable. And as an autistic person, predictability is really important to me. But also what I'm noticing is that when I'm really aligned with my human design, when I'm in that flow space, predictability isn't that important to me. Predictability seems to be most important to me when I am out of alignment with my human design. And I find that really fascinating. The other thing that I've noticed about this is when I'm in alignment with my human design, my autistic superpowers, they really get to take center stage. They're not being inhibited by the challenges that I often experience as an autistic person. So when I'm in that flow, when I'm kind of responding to my sacral yes, when I'm tuning into my emotional journey around something and honoring that, then it's not that I experience the disabling aspects that I have often experienced as an autistic person, but instead I find myself thriving as an autistic person. I find myself, and my brain is able to work super fast in this incredible way that it does, making all these connections, seeing patterns, etc., etc. And it's almost like it turns being autistic upside down in a way. I don't know, it's kind of hard to describe it in some ways, and I think I'll have more to say about this as time goes by. But I'm really happy to answer questions about human design from the knowledge that I have right now. And I'm getting knowledge all the time because being autistic, it has become a special interest of mine. I am immersing myself in human design a lot. So I'm really happy to answer questions. I want to acknowledge that some people may feel disappointment or may have a sense that I'm letting them down, because I had said I would continue doing daily tapping with B for as long as we were in lockdown. But actually, if I continued with that, I would be doing a disservice to myself, and I would potentially be putting myself at risk of burnout. And I don't want to do that. I want to embrace being in flow in my life. And the more in flow I am, the more I'm going to have to give to all of you lot as well. So if you've got any questions, do feel free to ask them now. I've just seen Soul Adventure has said, yes, so important to stay in the flow, especially as a manifesting generator. I know, and it's wonderful. And, you know, just today, things that normally would feel like really big deals for me, so washing up or cleaning out the hen house, and I've also treated it for red mites. I don't know, I'm trying to think of other things that I've done, but lots of things that often would feel like big deals. When I'm in that place of flow and I just go with that yes response from within my gut, those things they're just dreamy. It's like I just enjoy them, and they take barely any time at all, or they take ages, but it feels like 5 minutes. So yeah, so it's really good. So I'm also very excited because yes parenting completely aligns with human design, like 100%. Does yes parenting align with human design? And I have my eldest son is a generator, my youngest son is a manifesting generator, one is an emotional authority, the other is a sacral authority. So, you know, I'm exploring how I parent them with a growing understanding and knowledge of human design, but realizing that actually I don't then parent much differently to how I do anyway from the yes parenting principles. So that's a really, really exciting thing for me. Soul Adventurer says, I've tried to arrange my life as much as possible to allow me to flow on a daily. Yeah, I'm working towards that now. I'm learning that scheduling, having things scheduled in my diary, actually, it's not, unless it's something I feel so much like, yes, can I do it now? Can I do it now? I really don't really want it scheduled in my diary at all. And I've been reflecting on how this lockdown experience, one of the reasons it feels very positive to me is it really reminds me of when the boys and I went to the Highlands. Hi, Matt. Went to the Highlands house sitting for 2 months a couple of years ago. And there were lots of aspects of that I just found so amazing in comparison to city living. And some of them are sensory things around noise, and I was very immersed in nature there and things like that. But other things were because I didn't have things scheduled in my diary aside from my one-to-one clients, I really could just be in my flow. And I loved that. And I really wanted to try and maintain that when I came back to Sheffield. But I found it very, very difficult to maintain it. And so one of the things that this lockdown experience is offering me is this opportunity to have fewer things scheduled in my diary, and therefore more opportunity to be in that state of flow. And the other thing I've noticed as well is with these days where I've been really intentionally choosing to be aligned to my human design, the amount of Netflix I'm watching has just nosedived. Like I just don't find myself feeling the need to watch Netflix, which previously is I've needed a lot of rest in my day, and Netflix has been a really important way for my brain to have downtime. And I've just not needed that. Nikki, is there a particular website or book you'd recommend? Yes. If you go to, let me write it in the comments, Jovian Archive.com. Okay, so if you go to Jovian, my comment failed to be posted. Why is that? Let's try that again. Jovian Archive.com. Jovian Archive. I haven't even spelt it right. Jovian Archive.com. Okay, there you go. So you need to know your date of birth, your time of birth, your place of birth. And if you don't know your time of birth, then they say, you can just put 12 p.m. as in 12 noon. But for example, my time of birth is 1:35 in the morning, but I accidentally got it wrong on the Human Design app that I have, and I put in 1:37, and just that 2-minute difference for my design actually makes quite a significant difference. So so Jovian Archive is great. But Nikki, I do have a Human Design app, and if you want to just send me your details, I don't mind putting them into my app and then sending you a slightly more comprehensive report than Jovian Archive give you. But there's so much information on the Jovian Archive website as well. Lots of videos and audio files so that you can learn about your type, your strategy, your authority, your profile. And then it goes on to your channels and your centers. So within Human Design, you have defined centers and undefined or open centers. There's a slight difference between undefined and open, but it's not necessarily that important. And if you have a defined center, so all of my centers, aside from my crown and my root, they are all defined. So that's my ajna, which is your mind, my throat, my heart, my G center, my solar plexus, and my spleen and my sacral, they are all defined. So I will always be operating in accordance with how those centers operate. But I have this undefined crown and an undefined root. And I'm still really trying to get my head around what this truly means when you're undefined. But ultimately, what it means is when you have an undefined center, you amplify the nature of that center when you connect with someone else. So, for example, having an undefined crown center means that when I'm around someone else, other people who've got all these kind of thoughts and ideas and things, I basically amplify all of that. So if I'm not aware that I'm doing it, I can just constantly overrun with idea after idea after idea. I become a massive overthinker, which anyone who knows me personally or has watched my TED Talk knows that I am classically an overthinker. But now I'm starting to go, undefined crown, those thoughts, probably not my own. And it's like I can almost kind of create a bit of a boundary to it. I'm not quite sure, but also your undefined centers are where your conditioning comes in, these patterns of conditioning. So that's something that I'm learning about more at the moment. I've been focusing initially on my type, my strategy, and my authority. And once I started to feel familiar with those, then I started looking more at my defined centers. And yeah, so I'm still very much on a journey, but I'm loving it and loving the Instagram accounts that I've found, and also that my friend Laura, she shares them with me too. Soul Adventure, I would love your more detailed report as well. Yeah, I mean, I can't do it for everyone, but if you send me your date of birth, time of birth, town or city of birth, and time zone, because obviously I'm in the UK, you can share your time zone with me. And if you send me your email in direct message, I'll do yours. I'll do yours as well. Now, I do know somebody who I'm connected with on Facebook, maybe on Instagram as well. I can't remember, but she does a really wonderful full report for £40, 40 UK pounds. So that's about 52 US dollars, I think, or 80 Australian dollars. Okay, so unless anyone else has got any more questions, I'm gonna leave it there. I will be still doing tapping with B sessions. I'm just going to be doing them when it's in flow for me. I'm also, one of the other things that I've been really aware of is that ever since I started doing these scheduled daily commitment of tapping with B, I haven't had any creative inspiration or energy for anything related to yes parenting. So the reason there have been no yes parenting posts is because that inspiration just hasn't been there. I think because I've had this scheduled commitment. Look, I have to show you this. Look who's coming into my house. Look, chickens. They don't normally get to come in because I have a dog, but my dog has been borrowed by, oh, sorry, YouTube, I realize you can't see this. My dog has been borrowed by a local woman to go on a long walk. So the chickens are being brave and coming into my house. Okay, I'm going to leave it there. Mwah. I will upload this as an IGTV, assuming it downloads, and I'll speak to you soon. Bye.